Okay. All right. Should start in a second. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Then and Now. I'm Julian. This is John. And with the Epstein files controversy brewing, we thought we'd take a quick look at right wing conspiracy politics. One thing that historians of the 1950s and 1960s remember is that conspiracy politics has been part of right wing politics for a long time. This is nothing new. Many people, Daniel Bell, Richard Hofstadter, would write about this and how important it was. So we thought this would be a good time to do a then and now about how this compares or what it looked like back then. So, John, let me throw it to you. What's
Okay.
your take?
And a reminder, these are now only going to last 5 minutes. So it's a quick hit. So I want to talk a little bit about the John Birch Society, which was started in the 50s. They named it after a missionary intelligence operative who was killed by the communists in China in 1945, John Birch. And it seemed like they were very big in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s. But I checked and it turned out they actually only had 100,000 members nationally. And that compares to about 19% of the voters are in this last election are these conspiracy nut right wingers. And Trump's margins among people who believe in like Pizzagate type conspiracies was 62%. So his strength with these people, some of whom are now turning against him, really did have a lot to do with why he won the 2024 election. So the whole thing wasn't as big in the 50s, but it got a lot of publicity, especially when the John Birch Society, and this is maybe a little bit comparable, they turned against a Republican president, Dwight Eisenhower, and they said that Eisenhower was a communist agent. And they got a certain number of people to believe that, and that caused real schism on the right. And so you had like William F. Buckley in National Review denouncing the John Birch Society, and the Birchers becoming Goldwaterites in 1964 for Barry Goldwater, and then they became the grandparents of the Tea Party and the crazies of today.
I thought of this because I showed my class last year Dr. Strangelove, and one of the recurring jokes from that film, which came out in 1964, was about this fear that the right wing had about fluoride in the water being
Yeah.
a conspiracy theory. And I remember just talking to the students were watching, not realizing this stuff was back then. I mean, I think the point you make, it's a really good comparison. And for me, there's three things that have changed I was thinking about. One is just right now you see how it's become a mainstream currency in Republican rhetoric, conspiracy theory. Whereas back in the 50s and 60s, not only was the John Birch Society limited, or the jokes about fluoride were still limited. They were jokes. Now it's become a part almost of it's a party platform, and I think President Trump is contending with what he created. Secondly, back then this stuff circulated in newsletters, in coffee clutches of John Birch groups, where today there's this massive conservative media infrastructure, Fox News and online sources, which for years, from birtherism through this, has been promoting these kinds of theories. So it has a much bigger kind of media platform that it circulates on. And finally, it's the president himself. You just made the comparison. Back then, Eisenhower became the target, but he himself had not really engaged in
Not at
the
all.
kind of, and right now, President Trump for years has not only kind of winked and nodded, but actively supported conspiratorial thinking as part of his politics. So for me, that is part of what separates the then and now, even though we have to remember there are deep roots of this kind of politics on the right.
Yeah. So we're going to end it now. But yes, Donald Trump is the first conspiracy theorist ever to occupy the Oval Office, and it's coming back to bite him in the ass. So subscribe to the Long View and Old Goats, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Talk to everyone soon. Bye bye.